The Southern Poverty Law Center has been indicted.
That's right. Dr. Ellin Jimmerson joins us to discuss that and more today on The Undercurrent.
How's your internet holding up, Uncle Warren?
All right. I don't know if you could hear that little knocking there. That was wood. Yeah, we're yeah. Last week was wild. The internet was out for 3 hours. It was on and off.
I remember it.
Yeah, it was on and off, and then it was off, and then it came back on as a tease. Like, come on, you want to do it. Come on, And I said, oh no, you don't. You fickle mistress, internet. We shan't be having that dance today, my dear. So I said, okay, we're just gonna lay low. And finally around, I don't know, I guess 2:30 our time.
Yeah.
Back on. So
well, our good friend Willie Bragg was on the show with us that day, and it was great because I had him, and he's right here in the audience. Good afternoon and morning and evening and whatever time of day it is, wherever you're all watching. What Willie was able to co-host the show with me, and that was fantastic. And He gave me a chance actually to try flying solo, which was awesome. And it gave me a lot more respect for all the hard work you do, Uncle Warren. But yeah, Willie was great. And we ended up having a great show. And in fact, we touched on what is today's catch of the day. And we were able to bring our good friend, the Reverend Dr. Ellin Jimmerson, who's going to be commenting on what's going on with the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yeah. And she need to talk about her own show too that
Absolutely.
She has on her channel. Good to see you, Chuck. I see it. No, it wasn't you, but
no,
I do smell. I smell a conspiracy because that was the first time Willie was on the show for the first time, and then the first time the internet had went out on my end for the show. So I'm thinking Willie's trying to sneak in on my good time here. Willie, are you trying to steal this show away from me? Is that what it is? You son of a biscuit eater! I'll see you in heaven. What's up, Michael? I see you in.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Fantastic.
Good to see you. Yeah, so that was my limited conspiracy theory on that. So but no, I couldn't see the show. I had to watch it later. It was good stuff. So it's glad. I feel so important now. Oh wait, no, I don't. I don't matter.
Honestly,
anymore.
Uncle Warren, you watching you and observing you, I knew what to do. I knew how to handle things. And, it just shows how important you are, Uncle Warren. You're also sorely missed.
No, don't look at her. Look at me. No. Yeah, this is how they treat me. I always bring him up for no reason whatsoever. All right. We got, yes, as you said, we got Ellin waiting in the wings there.
We do, but we got a lot of news. I mean,
I think she's playing what is that? One of those video games where you're like in the military, one of those like Call of Duty. She's playing Call of Duty Welcome Back Kotter edition, where everybody is either like Horseshack or sorry, I'm not gonna go down that road. Let's get there's
Epstein.
So many.
Well, there was Epstein.
I know. There's so many rabbit holes. There's so many rabbit holes. I can't with this one. I
can't even.
All right, here we go. Riptide. Let's do it.
Yep.
All right. I think Ellin went to go get a beer. I don't blame you, Ellin. It's gonna be that kind of show. Yeah, so let's get to the newsies. Newses. Did I put that up there? I thought I did. All right, let's try this. There we go. All right. So apparently there was another attempt on Trump's life over the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Where's the we need the crickets. Do we have a crickets in here? Is there a cricket?
Is there a cricket?
No, we got
I'll settle for a macaw or something. Some kind of natural sound.
Good. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it's like who cares, right? At this point, because I know we'll get into it here in a second, but so me thinks I smell psyop. I smell. Wait a minute. So let's go through this first. So federal authorities have charged the suspect who allegedly shot at a U.S. Secret Service agent as he tried to breach security at a press gala attended by Donald Trump with attempting to assassinate the U.S. president. So Cole Thomas Allen, they got to do all three names. Lee Harvey Oswald. It's going to be one of those things when they do that. If it's two names, then they're like, but if they do three names in there, then they've already bought in that this is the guy. So Cole Thomas Allen of Torrance, California, also faces firearms charges in a 3-count complaint, according to prosecutors on Monday. In the case of a conviction, the attempted assassination of Trump carries out a sentence of up to life in prison, or he has to help finish making that ballroom that they're fighting for.
He's an engineer.
Yes, true. It's a whole conspiracy right there.
I mean, Caltech, man.
They're trying to get this guy to finish the ballroom because, secrets and stuff. So Alan, we have to do this as fashionistas. Alan wore a blue prison jumpsuit. It's only April. What is he thinking? At his first appearance in Washington, D.C. federal court 2 days after authorities said they foiled an attack at the White House Correspondents Association dinner, an annual black tie gathering of journalists and politicians in the U.S. Capitol. And this is famously the place where before he was elected president that Obama was making fun of him, and he was sitting in the audience, Trumpy was, and he was none too pleased about that. And then the next thing you know, we got Trump as president. I wonder how things work. I wonder how they work, lady. Tell me the secrets. I don't care about wearing the blue jumps. So apparently this guy tried to off Trumpy. This is the guy right here on the right. This guy will turn into this guy on the right once he's had like a few of Dr. Feelgood's medications. So anyway, enough of that business. So yeah, so they apparently took shots at him again. This sounds very as the kids say, sus, right? Don't you think that's a little suspicious?
I at this point I don't. I've been talking about stochastic terrorism before it was called stochastic terrorism, or these activities where people just pop off because they get influenced by rhetoric. They might be influenced by, they might be already mentally unstable. This is, I'm not sure that this was staged. I know people believe that. I certainly am of the opinion that it may be possible that intelligence could be, ignored so they could create something here. He never really got that far. I think it was something like 20 feet. He never got into the ballroom or the place where the event was taking place. But it's certainly being used very effectively by the administration. And it also has a bunch of people saying, yeah, we don't believe that this is actually happening. I think it was Ron Placone on Facebook who said, we've had another assassination attempt, and half the people who are talking about it don't believe it was actually a real assassination attempt. So where does that leave us at this point? We've been talking to Uncle Warren about the fact that people don't want to believe video evidence anymore because they think it could be AI. And here we have so little trust in the environment, the media environment, the political environment, the culture that we're living in, that many people do not believe that this was ever a serious assassination attempt. Now, I was listening to NPR. They had a woman who knew Cole Thomas Allen, who knew him. They were part of a Christian fellowship together. And that they had they had a good relationship. She was very surprised by this. She said it was out of character. That he was far more all about his Christian faith, very sincerely held Christian faith, and seemed to be critical of people like her who were more politically involved. So she was very surprised to see this happen. So I think there's a story there. I'd kind of like to know about it, but I think that this is and that everything was so laid back. I remember when I got the news, I was with my family. We were all hanging out, having a family dinner. Cousins were in town, people were out of town. I'm sitting there on my phone. I see this and I'm like, there's just been an attempt, because there had been some concern about the correspondence dinner. They were surprised that Trump was showing up, and some people were saying maybe something will happen. Well, sure enough. So, again, it doesn't have to be entirely staged to be used. And there could have been intelligence that this guy was there, and they've decided, okay, we can stop him before he actually gets in there. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, this could have been one of two things. This could have been something that was totally designed by somebody else, and then somebody got whiff of the plan and decided to use it for their advantage, or it was done by them, by themselves. Either way, there are reasons to do this kind of stuff. And this is one of the reasons. And that's Trump uses correspondence.
Yeah, there we go.
To justify expanding spying powers as the deadline nears. I don't know if we told you on this show or on my show about the FISA is about to expire. It's set to expire tomorrow now. So let's get into this. An exchange of gunfire between an armed suspect and law enforcement outside the White House Correspondents' Dinner on Saturday came days ahead of a deadline for extending far-reaching government surveillance powers. And Trump wasted no time in claiming that the attempted attack on the event proved that the FBI must be permitted to spy on Americans without obtaining warrants. Oh, there it is. There it is. We can't
imagine that.
We can't be having you out there just just doing stuff like the American freedom and stuff without being looked at, man. We got to check you out, bro. It's like, must be permitted to spy on Americans without obtaining warrants. That's right. Not the band warrant from the 80s. She's my cherry pie. That's the gold standard when it comes to warrant references. Everybody says cherry pie. They don't, they don't even care about their
It was written on a pizza box too. It was. Jenny Lane talked about that.
That was a different time.
Rest in peace.
So in an interview with Fox News Sunday, Trump repeated his previous remarks that he is willing to give up his security in favor of extending Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, also known as FISA, which is set to expire tomorrow, and suggested other Americans should do the same for the safety of our nation. That's almost national security. That's almost saying, so, if you're drinking in this early morning, please do so with safety and caution, and for national security purposes. It's our little thing. And anybody says national security, we say, drink up. I know you're drinking in the morning, you crazy bastards. So Section 702 allows U.S. intelligence agencies to surveil the electronic communications of foreign nationals overseas without a warrant. Overseas without a warrant, right? Remember that? Since some of the nearly 350,000 foreign nationals whose communications have been collected under the law are in touch with Americans, Section 702 allows for the collection of emails, text messages, and phone calls of U.S. citizens. Fox anchor and current administration fascist Jackie Henrik. Ooh, Jackie with the Q in there. Look at you. We need that fancy music here. I'm going to import it for next time, I promise. Putting a Q in there like you're all European or some shit. Jackie Henrik emphasized that we don't know right now whether the suspect in Saturday's shooting, Cole Thomas Allen, was radicalized by a foreign individual or group, but asked whether the attack drove home the importance of having these tools to protect our country from these kinds of threats. Everybody said, hey, it's going to be putting out their false flags. It's going to be a nice day, nice and sunny. Put them out there all night, get them out nice and dry. Put out all those false flags for everybody to see. They said they were coming, and this looks like one of them. Allegedly, you should say, as James Lee says to cover his ass, legally.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, that's right.
Reportedly.
We hug that word. Allegedly, reportedly. Sources say, little babies, gotta protect them. Gotta protect them. The importance of okay. So the president responded by shitting his pants. I'm sorry, by complaining that former FBI director James Comey used FISA to obtain warrants to surveil a former Trump aide as part of the agency's investigation into the 2016 Trump presidential campaign's communication with Russia, the old Russiagate there, before saying FISA has been used in the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran and in the U.S. military's invasion of Venezuela earlier this year. So this is basically just Trump saying, see, things happen and stuff. So come on, let's get this going pronto. That's what this is about, these little false flags and stuff.
Well, remember what happened with the Patriot Act back in 9/11. And I think people don't realize some of the repercussions of that. You had in cases where federal agents were going into private businesses and sometimes public businesses like public libraries, demanding and seizing records. And effectively, the employees were being threatened and told, you cannot tell a person that we've seized their records. Restricting, in my view, the free speech rights of librarians, but also owners of private businesses. And this has been going on for a while. And I do wonder, again, was there any kind of surveillance going on when Cole Thomas Allen went into that hotel, that they saw something that they, were aware of, and that they were tracking him and that sort of thing? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, all of that just and you never get any evidence, like real evidence. You get like this circumstantial stuff, and then you're just like, oh well, it might be, it could be. It's like, well, yeah, you can. What's it they say? You can want in one hand, you can shit in the other, and see
That's
which
my
one
father
fills
used
up
to
first.
say. See which fills
My
up
father
first,
used to say that too. He was a bit of a lowbrow character. He would say, talking about pooping in his hand, like an old Southern gentleman would speak like that.
My dad was just from Chicago, but that's what he said all the time. So,
oh, nice, yeah. My dad was from Mississippi, but he lived in Chicago for 30 years.
He did.
Yeah, he got rid of that Southern drawl. He stopped sounding like Foghorn Leghorn, because everybody down there sounds like that. I'll say, Laney, I'll say, Laney, it sure is a hot day. Time for a mint julep, wouldn't you say? I'll say.
Yes. There it is, sir. I could want to use one of them too to cool myself off.
Laws, yes. I like the laws, yes.
Laws, yes.
They try to say Lord, yes, but they just say laws. They just got so tired they couldn't say the D, so they said laws.
It's too hot out there. Exhausting.
Well, speaking of mental illness.
Yeah. Now this is interesting.
Yeah. So I'll just read the thing here. Fact sheet: President Donald J. Trump is accelerating medical treatments for serious mental illness. Is he starting with the White House first? Is what I want to know.
Yeah.
Do you know about this? Do you want to?
Yeah, a little bit about it. It basically, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but for a long time, there have been people who have been working with various psychoactive plants or plant derivatives, including ibogaine and other shrooms and things of that nature. And many times they've been actually leaving the country because these drugs are scheduled in the U.S. It's very difficult, even for legitimate researchers, to be able to conduct research using these substances because of the way they've been scheduled. And so what's happening is that, for reasons that I can only speculate on, Donald Trump has issued an executive order directing the Food and Drug Administration commissioner to provide national priority vouchers to appropriate psychedelic drugs that have received breakthrough therapy designations for treating serious mental illnesses and meet the needs of the national priority voucher program. This will ensure that red tape does not delay the FDA's gold standard review of any potential therapy. He is talking a lot about veterans, by the way, in this
Oh, good.
executive office, prioritizing the veterans. So, any case, what he is trying to do is he's trying to make it easier to do appropriate research on drugs that might have therapeutic plants and other substances that might have therapeutic value in the United States. One thing I can tell you is I've known people who have traveled, say, to Latin America to undergo experiences led in groups. There's actually a whole business, a whole industry around this, of bringing people from the U.S. Into Latin America to undergo these experiences using some of these drugs, these plants, these medications, however you want to define them. The thing is that people who are leading these are not necessarily mental health professionals, and there's a huge emphasis on, say, the spiritual aspect of these substances and these experiences that may not even be culturally appropriate. And so something that people have been trying to do is trying to get approval for these substances to be studied here in the U.S. and under clinical conditions, so that if they do have potential for helping people with long-term mental health issues, including post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression, they might be available to people. So as much as I have strongly disapprove of our current president, I think that this is actually a good sign that it's being opened up to the ability to study these drugs and their effectiveness is being opened up within the United States under controlled clinical conditions, which I think is, on the whole, a beneficial thing. On the other hand, I would kind of like to see conditions improved from the general population so that people are not developing these mental health disorders to begin with. And I remember several years back when they started to decriminalize marijuana in the U.S., I said to I was talking to some folks over at Hard Lens, and I said, look, what we're doing right now is conditions are not great for anybody. Nobody's really happy. So what are we doing? We're decriminalizing a drug that mellows people out. And they could mellow people out.
God forbid anybody needed to do that these days.
But that might also keep people from acting up when it's necessary to act up. So the timing on this, I think, is very suspicious. And a lot of the military rah-rah, not that I don't think that veterans deserve support, but a lot of that military rah-rah, patriotic rhetoric in the executive order does have me wondering.
Well, it is primary season and the midterms, so everything is spiced with that propaganda. It's almost like, yeah, if you vote for me, I'll buy you a car. You vote for them, and then you're like, all right, buy me a car. Well, it's not that simple. But instead of buying you a car, it's like whatever campaign promises they made. And that's why a lot of people are just saying, like, I'm just not going to vote now, or I'm just going to go independent. And if there's independent candidates that are come along, and that's 40% of the nation right there.
Well, when you get the level of shaming that those of us who have gone independent get from ordinary friends and family is pretty outrageous.
It's not our fault that you put up a shitty candidate.
Yeah.
Right. Do better. Yeah. That's the way they twist it. It's like, oh, well, you should have voted for our shitty candidate. But they won't come out and say they're a shitty candidate. They won't come out and say any of the things that they actually did that were bad. What they call it, the party autopsy that they do every year, where they look at and they never own up to all the shit that failed them. So they either live in this delusional land that they think that they're being wronged by, whatever the system, or it's just a money-making scheme, which I think political parties are anyway. They're fundraising machines.
Yes.
It's more than anything else.
Yeah, agreed. And they're going to bank on the candidate that can raise the most funds.
All right. Ellen's back there. She's got a pitchfork and a torch. She's about ready to burst in here. You hold your horses, lady. This is a family show. All right, so let's get to the next one. Speaking of people who need mental health treatments, I know that's not funny, but it is appropriate. DeSantis down in Florida. See it. That's just the best segue ever. So speaking of crazy, so DeSantis unveils gerrymandered Florida map to boost Republican seats. So yeah, so like they're scared, they're doing all this crazy stuff. Like, look, we're gonna do all this stuff to help veterans. Wink, wink, wink. The key there, fun fact for those who play the home game, it's not what they say, it's what they actually do. So when you focus on what they actually do and what they don't do, that's where you go. When they do the talky, flappy lip thing, nah, just let them, expend some CO2, and then you'll get the real deal. So the governor's office distributed a newly drafted House map to journalists that identified districts by political affiliation using color coding. I guess like the paint by numbers thing. They have like number 2 or 1. The proposal showed 4 districts favoring Democrats and 24 favoring Republicans. Florida's current congressional delegation, however, includes only 20 Republicans. Me smell some bad math there. The state constitution forbids manipulating electoral districts for partisan advantage. However, old Trumpy has encouraged Republican-led states to adjust their maps to strengthen the GOP's position in the upcoming bloodbath of congressional elections in November. I added the bloodbath part, but I know it's redundant. DeSantis has developed what Axios reports as a 3-stage approach designed to delay court challenges and keep his maps in place, at least temporarily. Yeah, by gaming the system. Democratic organizations and progressive advocacy groups have already announced plans to initiate legal action as soon as the maps receive legislative approval. So DeSantis has instructed state lawmakers to disregard the Fair Districts amendments, which were approved by 63% of Florida voters back in 2010. His legal team has argued that the amendments, which mirror language from the Federal Voting Rights Act, you get the crosses out in the holy water, are unconstitutional and effectively nullify the entire measure. The amendments prohibited partisan gerrymandering, prevented drawing districts to protect incumbent politicians, required that districts be geographically compact, and provided safeguards for Black and Hispanic voters. Harvard law professor Nick Stephanopoulos expressed skepticism about whether the amendments still hold any meaningful force, noting that the state Supreme Court, where all but one justice was appointed by DeSantis, has already weakened their application. So they're going to have a special session on Tuesday to debate this, basically. This is just more. And yes, I know we got to throw in, of course, the Democrats do this too. They do gerrymander, but a lot of this that they do down in Florida is some magical, like, balloon animal shit. Like it'll blow up, and then they'll put a little notch there, and then your district looks like a poodle or something like that.
It just happened this morning too. The same thing happened in Louisiana. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that Louisiana will have to redraw its congressional map in a landmark decision that effectively guts a major section of the Voting Rights Act. I'll put the link into our comments for anybody who wants to read that. Maybe we'll talk about that next week because I know we have a guest, but this has just happened within the past couple of hours too.
Yeah, so you got to be careful. Everybody thinks all the screwing around is on the federal level. You got to watch out on the state level too for this kind of stuff. And this isn't like a new thing either. The gerrymandering has been going on for quite some time.
I'm from Chicago, so yeah.
So you know what? We'll save this one.
Yeah, we'll save that.
We'll save the next one about the Earl, because because I don't really see. Because we will get Ellin in here because
Yeah.
she's yelling and screaming backstage. She's talking about like, you know, I wait a minute, check my notes. I'll whoop that ass if you don't turn on these dang fancy magic picture box.
Indeed.
She didn't say that. You're the devil. Let's have her. What's up, Ellin?
Hey, Ellin.
Hey, yeah, I've always wanted to say I'm gonna whoop your ass. I've always wanted to say that, and you caught me. So
You should be me. I say that every day, and the people who don't even deserve it, they'll be like, "Oh, did you want to get?"
Said that to anybody.
We have eggs 2 for $1. Do you want to go get an extra one? And I'll go. I'll whoop your damn ass. You ain't trying to push your damn eggs on me. I know what that means. I know what that code's for. I watch Sean Hannity. I know.
Oh, good old Sean Hannity.
Oh,
You think I'm making up that character? That's like about 4 or 5 people I know down south. So, yeah, we all got some Southern flavor. We got some Arkansas in the house. We got some Bama down there and some old Mississippi.
Yeah.
well, I'm a very recent Arkansas over here.
The South shall rise
I was
again.
gonna say that. You got
We
it.
gonna rise up. Us three gonna take it over. The new South.
Johnny Reb.
Yeah, where you're where's that oh damn, what's the chicken place that's closed on Sunday? We're gonna
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. We're gonna make an amendment that Chick-fil-A's gotta be open on Sunday just to piss them off.
Hobby Lobby too. And now
Look.
they'll steal some artifacts at the same time.
Oh right.
Oh.
Well, isn't the Hobby Lobby open on Sundays? Or are they
No,
not?
they're not, and then they're also like big into antiquities, and they steal all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Why
Those
am I
families are
not shocked?
nuts.
That doesn't sound shocking at all. Get out the swear jar. Yeah, we need a swear jar. I would be
some money. I need a new camera.
No, we actually brought you on here to talk about this. We got a little thing here. Let's put it up there. So the Southern Poverty Law Center indictment. So would you y'all rather me talk a little about like the nuts and bolts of it first, and then we can get into
we did talk about it last week on the show. It was when the report first came in, and Willie and I discussed it and wanted to go farther, more in depth. And Ellin was talking about her experiences. So yeah, I think we maybe get a little bit of background here. And Ellin, if you want to chime on in, please do.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just, and we're probably just nutshell it right here. So the Southern Poverty Law Center was indicted on federal fraud charges. Look at this. That's not Orwellian at all right there. So the Southern Poverty Law Center, the prominent civil rights organization, has been indicted on federal fraud charges related to past payments it made to confidential informants to infiltrate extremist groups, including the Ku Klux Klan, the Justice Department has announced. So in a statement, Brian Fair, the SPLC's chief executive, called the allegations false and said the Justice Department's actions will not shake our resolve to fight for justice and ensure the promise of the civil rights movement becomes a reality for all. So Todd Blanche, the acting attorney general, said an Alabama grand jury returned an 11-count indictment against the 55-year-old civil rights group in the case brought by the Justice Department in Alabama, where the SPLC is based. The charges included wire fraud, bank fraud, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. So basically that's the nuts and bolts of it. So what's going to happen next now in this? What are the more serious implications of this too?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking the smarty pants in this group, which is you two, not me. No, actually, yeah, Ellin, if you want to chime in on that, that would be.
What's going to happen next is that the prosecution will have to prove that those charges are criminal, that they did something criminal. You said something very interesting in your current news segment, which is that you have to have a warrant to spy. And so what the Southern Poverty Law Center is saying, they essentially got into these groups for the purpose of spying. So did they have a warrant to do that?
Well, they're not the government. The Southern Poverty Law
No,
Center
it's not the government. True.
Yeah.
And
journalists do go in undercover, and people are, that does happen.
Pardon me. Who goes?
Journalists will go in undercover.
Journalists. Yeah. Do they get warrants?
They don't get warrants.
Okay.
They don't need a warrant.
Okay. That's interesting. But okay. So rewinding. I don't know why I brought that up because it's irrelevant, but
it's an interesting question, though. It's an interesting question.
Yeah,
it's distinguishing between the government and private organizations or even for-profit organizations.
What a lot of people are saying is that, well, the government does this all the time, but the Southern Poverty Law Center is not the government. The Southern Poverty Law Center is a charity. It's a 501c3 charity, I believe, and which means that when we used to give money to them, it was a tax deduction or so. But as I was saying before, there was a time when I thought the Southern Poverty Law Center was the best thing to come out of Alabama in a long, long time. It had that reputation of fighting for the little guy. The word poverty is in the title, and they're lawyers. And so the implication is that they're going to use whatever money you send them to defend poor people in court who may not otherwise have good representation. They may have a court-appointed lawyer or whatever. And so I began to be, and let me just say this, because one of the things I have based my complaints about comprehensive immigration reform and the guest worker program is because of that the Southern Poverty Law Center did a report on the H-2A and H-2B guest worker visa, and they titled it Close to Slavery. And I was so excited when Mary Bauer of the Southern Poverty Law Center agreed for me to interview her for my documentary about immigration called The Second Cooler, which, as you know, we've ultimately got Martin Sheen to narrate it. And people have said, well, I knew I had a big boost in getting Martin Sheen, but in fact, in my mind, the big boost was getting Mary Bauer, who said she would come to me, which she didn't do. We ended up going to Atlanta. So I interviewed her. I interviewed another lawyer with the Southern Poverty Law Center. And then later on, when I was part of a class action lawsuit against Governor Bentley in Alabama over a bill called HB 56, which was the harshest anti-immigrant law in the country, with the exception of one that came out of Arizona. And the Southern Poverty Law Center represented me. So I was just thrilled. I was like, it never occurred to me that anything would be off. However, we had been getting the Southern Poverty Law Center's newsletters forever. And I began to notice they never talked about poverty. They never talked about the system. They only insisted that white supremacy and racism was a huge problem in the states, which I cannot accept, having grown up in the segregated South in a family of civil rights activists, if you can just, the change is like night and day. You know, where even in small towns in Tennessee, you see interracial couples and all the time. It's just, it's not that thing. And then they started throwing the word hate around, which is a very inflammatory word. And so that's what they were fundraising off of. The idea that there are cells of racist and white supremacists and terrorist cells just all across the country, all across the country. And the only one doing anything about it is the Southern Poverty Law Center. And you need to give your money to them. So that was never what I thought my money was going for. I thought my money was going for things like the Close to Slavery report, which exposed the conditions of laborers, migrants in the fields and the plants, and who were being terribly abused legally. You know, based on all of that, I ended up going down to Guanajuato and interviewing some field workers who had filed lawsuits. And this was something that Mary Bauer was very knowledgeable about. But the point is, my thinking began to shift with their newsletters and the emphasis on hate, which I didn't see. And a couple of times they would list this group and this group and this group, and I'd look into it, and it'd be two people in a family in, you know, rural Oklahoma, who homeschool their kids. You know, I mean, it was just, that's not a group. Well, define group. Also, we began hearing lots of stories about the pervasiveness of sexual harassment in the offices. And my husband is retired now, but he was a lawyer, and in Alabama. And, you know, we were just, you know, we heard the scuttlebutt, and we heard the stories that Morris Dees would tell, one of the founders, about, you know, he could get on the phone and have, you know, money by the end of the day, big money by the end of the day. And also then I found out about, there was a report some news group did that discovered that the Southern Poverty Law Center was funneling what amounted to the best of my knowledge, $10 million to offshore tax havens in the Cayman Islands and Bermuda. What's that money doing there?
Yeah, it's a really good question.
is not helping poor people in the States. What's it doing?
Yeah.
Why is it there? Why aren't they defending somebody in court with this? I mean, there are all kinds of what do you call it, when somebody's wrongful convictions and, you know, all kinds of things like this going on. And I also went to their offices for some reason in Montgomery. It's in, if my memory serves, in a very poor area of Montgomery. And I walked in and I'm like, holy cow, these offices, they have like 20-foot glass ceilings. It was just obviously extravagantly expensive and totally out of sync with any idea that this was a group that was interested in poverty, systemic poverty. And I stopped giving to them maybe 10 years ago. And it's a huge disappointment. And it makes me angry when I think of how much I have relied on the Southern Poverty Law Center and their report, and followed various leads, you know, in talking about comprehensive immigration reform. I mean, so much of my entire argument was based on my trust in them. And I think the report is still accurate because I've talked to too many people who have lawsuits that were not represented by the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Well, they responded yesterday, the Southern Poverty Law Center. So they filed 2 motions in federal court related to the grand jury indictment returned last week and announced at a press conference by Department of Justice officials. The motions follow this is from their site, from the SPLC. The motions follow the false statements by acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche in press and media interviews about the indictment, and assert in part that the SPLC deserves to know whether the same or similar false statements were made in secret to the grand jury. Specifically, Blanche said publicly that the government had no information that suggests that the SPLC shared what they learned from the informant program with law enforcement. Among other examples, in fact, the SPLC shared information from the informant program with law enforcement about the planned Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville back in 2017. So they're basically saying, yeah, none of this is true. But what you're saying, if you kind of want to just like nutshell it, what you think, do you think they are actually legit, or maybe you go ahead?
No, I think the Southern Poverty Law Center has turned into a huge grift.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to mention the other thing too, is that on their hate group, they've listed a group called GenSpect and another group called the Society for Evidence-Based Gender Medicine as hate groups. It's just patently ridiculous. GenSpect, I mean, okay, so my own current show is called Moving Parts. Why children become trans.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, we've interviewed 4 people. The first 2 refer to themselves as butch lesbians, and I got to know these people not just through GenSpect and through its precursor, which was a podcast called Gender: A Wider Lens. They are anything but anti-LGBT people. The first guest, Aaron Kimberly, is transitioned and is detransitioned. He calls himself a butch lesbian, as did Jesse Harris, that we interviewed the second time. The third person we interviewed, Maya, is 19 years old. She's a desister, meaning she was considering transitioning, but realized it was the bad idea. The woman yesterday, is that my video? The woman yesterday that we interviewed is bisexual and had undergone a whole lot of institutional and family abuse. All of these people will affirm GenSpect. Week after next, we've got, that's Maya. Week after next, we've got Johnny Skinner coming on. Johnny Skinner is a young man who transitioned at 13. Did I stop talking?
No.
Okay. Who transitioned at 13 with his mother being pressured to allow him by being told that he would commit suicide if he didn't. And he is the most obviously gay young man you've ever seen, even though he's had estrogen and all of this stuff. And he's coming on the show in a couple of weeks, but he's an ambassador for GenSpect.
Mm-hmm.
GenSpect, to say GenSpect is anti-LGBT is patently ridiculous. And the reason SEGM exists is because now you have this battle going on for children's bodies, and there's a lot of money to be made in that. And so you've got these doctors and clinicians on the ideological side and tapping into gay and lesbian kids' fears, not to mention just the fact of going through puberty, but to put in place something that's medicine that's based on evidence. And there's no evidence that there are female brains in male bodies. There's no evidence that if you don't medicalize children who say they're trans, that they will commit suicide. In fact, a Finnish study released last week did a 25-year study with kids who had transitioned and said that quite the opposite. If you perform, if you block someone's puberty, if you do a radical mastectomy on a woman or on a girl who has no diseased breast tissues, et cetera, it sets them up for being lifetime patients, and they're more likely to commit suicide than less likely. So all the evidence is that, and who would this benefit? It would benefit lesbian girls, gay boys going through puberty in a culture that still has some element of homophobia. It's not like it once was, but it also is not to women's interests. So the Southern Poverty Law Center, I think one of the things that happens in the first place, the Southern Poverty Law Center was established in 1971. This is after the major victories were already won. The 64 Civil Rights Act, the 65 Voting Rights Act, those major victories had been won. Morris Dees started out, I think, in direct marketing or something like that. He was never a lawyer on the side of the little guy, but he was a dab hand at fundraising, and he realized that the way to big money was through promoting the narrative of white supremacy and racism. And they did have some successes with the Ku Klux Klan.
Yes.
But the Ku Klux Klan and GenSpect
are
not talking about the same thing. So, and it's the same sort of thing with the trans movement. Once the major victory is achieved with Obergefell v. Hodges, same-sex marriage is legalized throughout the country. People are much more able to be out, have families, that kind of thing. Then the money's going to dry up. So you've got to find another oppressed group and fundraise off of that. Am I making any sense?
You're making a lot of sense. A couple of things I wanted to mention. First of all, you touched on the word hate, that the word hate gets bandied about a lot. Now, there are people who are absolutely hateful, and there are hate groups like the Ku Klux Klan, like I think it's the National Alliance, Adam Waffen, these deranged, absolutely deranged, racist, anti-Semitic groups out there, and their people, absolutely deranged. They are hateful. But then at some point we have to say, okay, if somebody is questioning something, if they're questioning issues, say, for example, of sexual morality or gender identity, or even gendered roles, does that make them automatically hateful? But when you use the term hate and you apply it across the board, you kind of you end up shutting down arguments. You end up shutting down conversations, because what you're saying is, if a person is, say, a devout Roman Catholic, and by the way, devout Roman Catholics are not rah-rah capitalists. In fact, if you look at Catholic social teaching, it is not terribly pro-capitalism. But the person says, look, I believe that marriage, that sexual congress is for married couples, and for a natural marriage is between a man and a woman who marry for life and are open to having children. Now, that's not entirely my perspective on the issue, but I can tell you that there are a lot of devout Roman Catholics who are opposed to war, who are opposed to poverty, who are opposed to racism, who also hold to that. Now, are they hateful? Is that inspired by hate? Or is it grounded in sincerely held religious beliefs? Which, by the way, are supposed to be something that we are allowed to have in the US in particular, or any modern democracy. And in fact, there are hate groups out there who hate Roman Catholics, the Ku Klux Klan, for example, who also hate, and there's also various really racist and anti-Semitic organizations that hate anything that is Christian or Jewish or Islamic. They may either be atheists or actually some form of heathen or neo-pagan. But everything, if you have a sincerely held religious belief or moral belief that is not targeted at harming people, but that does reflect seriously held beliefs about social roles, religion, or personal behavior, when you automatically paint that as hate without interrogating it and finding out why that person holds to it, you've really shut down any kind of conversation, because it eliminates the idea that both parties are acting in good faith. And that puts people against each other.
And the free speech.
And the free speech
of it.
Also, they took over an organization called Hate Watch. I volunteered for them for a short period of time back in like 1999. It was one of the first organizations that was online that was documenting hate groups that were trying to recruit online. And let me tell you, they were hate groups. These were people like David Duke, Don Black, Stormwatch, or whatever the heck it was. I mean, there were really nasty, vile things going on there, and their attitudes toward women were and remain just as absolutely disgusting. And I remember the guy who ran that group and founded it got into a debate with Roger Ebert, the film critic. Roger Ebert was opposed to it. He said, "Why are you giving people a list of organizations so they can go join them?" And his position was, we're putting out this here so people are not hunting for them. They're not hiding someplace. We're saying, here they are. Go talk to them. And interestingly enough, many of the children of people who were active in these hate organizations have gone on to repudiate their parents' views, because they were identified, they were confronted by their friends and their classmates and say, hey, what's going on here? We understand you were raised in this family. But is this what you really believe? And those kids actually said, no, we don't agree with any of this. And they were able to do that. So, but then, the Southern Poverty Law Center eventually took over that website. I haven't paid much attention to it. But if they're just listing organizations that have a contrarian opinion to what you often see in the media, again, that shuts down any conversation, because you really can't have a conversation when one or both parties are presuming bad faith.
Yeah. And I mean, I've been called a TERF. Mm-hmm. I've been called transphobic. I've been told I no longer had a place in a family group. Mm-hmm. And it's just not true. It's not true. Yeah. And you can't, but I fit into some sort of a profile. Yeah. But I think the question of hate is a really interesting one. Mm-hmm. Who are the haters with the power? Mm-hmm. Now, next week, Tuesday, I'm interviewing a woman who's a Ukrainian refugee whose daughter was taken from her by the state of California because she would not use the girl's new pronouns and would not affirm her gender orientation, her
Identity.
desire to be medicalized.
Mm-hmm.
The state took the daughter from her, put her in a foster home where she had to share a bedroom with a boy. And she's Ukrainian, she's Orthodox Christian, all of the things she's allowed to be. But but where's the hate? The state takes a child from its parents because the parents will not say, yes, our daughter needs to be, needs to have a radical mastectomy and puberty blockers, and we need to call her him. Yeah, all of those. You have some right, as a parent, to speak what you think is true and helpful for your children. And I mean, where's the hate?
Yeah.
Where's the hate with people like, why would the Southern Poverty Law Center, who's driving these very destructive narratives, why are they not a hate group?
And that's a good question. And actually, I'd like to pivot this a little bit back to the issue that got a lot of attention when this story first broke, which was that many of these donations, about something like $3 million, was actually being funneled to hate organizations through their so-called informant program. And I think and one of the problems is that one of the allegations against the Southern Poverty Law Center was that they were making misleading statements. They were lying to banks when they were opening up the accounts. Now, look, I am suspicious enough of a lot of informant programs, jailhouse informants. I understand the need for them, but boy, they make me feel icky.
Yeah.
And I understand that, journalists will send in people undercover, organizations like this. I know of somebody who was in criminal justice who found a cell within another organization who offered to go in, to go in to bring that information back. In fact, I want to say it was about 10 years ago, there was a report that came out that listed thousands of people who were working in law enforcement and in corrections who were allegedly part of hate groups. Well, first of all, a lot of that information turned out to be incorrect. But the other thing that nobody seemed to understand, that in small towns, you can't go in undercover. So they'll just, these guys will actually join under their own names because they can't hide. It's not like it's the FBI that can send somebody in from out of town. And then they report back because, frankly, people who belong to these organizations tend not to be terribly intelligent and they can't figure out what's going on. But I think the question is here, the Southern Poverty Law Center was an organization that was soliciting donations and using that to pay people who were perhaps laughing all the way to the bank. Hey, these are hateful people. If you're in the Klan, if you're in a neo-Nazi organization, you're not a good person. You are hateful. And why would you assume any loyalty on the part of that person? Why would you presume that money, okay, fine, but I'm going to feed you back whatever information I want. Now I've got the money to do what I want, to spend it as I wish, and I can just tell both sides what they want to hear. And did the donors to the Southern Poverty Law Center have a right to know how their money was being used? Would they have approved of it? And again, if they broke the law in misrepresenting themselves to banks, that's another problem entirely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and when you had some things going on with Black Lives Matter in their organization too, people couldn't believe it at first, but it's like, that's why you have to, I always say, scrutinize everything that you're getting involved with like that, open your mind, I think people rely on too many other people's opinions about things, which is all well and good if they're reliable sources for that information, but also you need to figure this stuff out on your own, use your own critical thinking skills, and a lot of people don't do that. with this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So
you have to look into what it is they're saying. You got to look into those organizations. You've got to look
right.
into, you know,
Because you said what, where does hate, what about this hate, right? I'm sure there is like natural hate for people out there, but a lot of times this is cultivated by people with nefarious motives, of course.
yeah.
They will guide your hate to help them achieve their goals, sort of thing, right? And then people don't find out till it's too late after the fact that they were used, that they were kind of conned, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, the weapons of mass destruction, all of it is, there's a social contagion. There's a tendency to believe or disbelieve based on the administration and the party in charge without knowing anything about it or doing the most cursory of investigation. Yeah, I mean, there is. Yeah. It
is disturbing because you will have an organization. Okay, again, you're talking about something gets really big. You start out with something that is grassroots, that is trying to, in the case of Southern Poverty Law Center, my understanding was that they were willing to use the civil court system to bankrupt. There's economic warfare against organizations that were doing horrific things and that stood for horrific ideas. But then it got too big for its britches. And who is calling them to account for this? And I do understand that if you're going to employ a lot of people, you do have to have a decent facility. You're going to have a decent facility. Does that mean
you don't have to have a poverty palace, though?
Yeah, you don't have to have a palace.
Poverty
you
palace.
Don't have palace. Not at all.
People began calling it.
Yeah, and you don't have to have that.
Here's the other thing is that a lot of the young lawyers who went to work for the Southern Poverty Law Center believed in the marketing, and they sacrificed their own future careers to work for the Southern Poverty Law Center because the law center had the reputation of being far left, which it just wasn't, and it was never grassroots.
Yeah.
Big money was on the front end. It was never grassroots.
Okay. So, but again, you have people, okay, you want to get people paid so you can get the best and the brightest. All of that I understand, but where is the oversight oftentimes in these organizations? They'll claim to have a board of directors or a board of reference, but they're oftentimes handpicked.
Yeah.
And the State's Attorney General's office, which is typically oversees not-for-profit organizations, that's their job. They got other things to be doing. They're not staffed to be able to do this. And in this case, it was something that seems that was never in check. Now, do I trust this indictment? Do I think that this is coming out of political purity? Of course not. I don't trust this, or I don't just trust this administration. And I think this is awfully.
I don't trust this administration either, but I didn't trust the Biden administration. I didn't trust the Obama administration, the Bush administration. So when I hear people say the indictment, you can't rely on it because it comes from Trump.
I don't trust the motivation. I don't trust the motivation. Okay. I don't think that I don't trust that.
The motivation.
But I do believe that, it sounds like this is perhaps happening way too late. I think somebody was saying here, Ms. Tree brought up something. Look and see how few cases they commit to annually. Again, where are the results? The one nice thing about public corporations, and we're always dunking on them around here, but they've got, they have to show their records. They have to give detailed, and their stock rises and falls on what they're doing. And in this particular case, with the not-for-profits, that doesn't always happen. Often doesn't happen.
Oh my goodness! I mean, I learned that when I was doing immigration advocacy. You've got immigrant advocates and advocacy groups in the state of Alabama, for example. Alabama was different from a lot of the groups that are in the southwestern border states, California, Arizona, Texas, New Mexico. In Alabama, I don't even know where to begin. They would promote comprehensive immigration reform. They were constantly asking for money, constantly saying they were defending poor immigrants, and funding, promoting comprehensive immigration reform. And they didn't even know what that package was. Didn't know, didn't want to know, didn't care to know. And when I started speaking out about it, I was just literally shut down. I was banned from certain groups because I was saying things like, look, Presenti.org is opposed to this package. Humane Borders in Arizona is opposed to this package. There are many groups that are opposed to this package. Please understand, this package is not good for immigrants. It is nothing more than a full border militarization package with major extensions of the servitude program called the guest worker program. That's what it was. And to encourage people who wanted to do something to help out immigrants or migrants, undocumented illegal immigrants, however you want to put it, who wanted to do something, thought, well, the way to do it is to send money to these two groups. And I mean, I knew from interacting with them, I knew from mainly reading the documents. In my movie, The Second Cooler, one of the claims made, so there had been a meeting in Huntsville, and it had at the Art Museum, which is in the northern part of the state, and it had the feel of a Klan rally. It's one of the few times I was shaking and like, holy cow, I'm scheduled to speak. I'll never make it out of here alive. Then they had these series, the legislature did, of these fact-finding meetings. Well, the fourth one was in Mobile. And all the people with the advocacy group said, oh my God, how refreshing were the people who spoke in Mobile. They loved their brown brothers. They love their brown brothers. And they said over and over. So I did some investigating. Who are these? They were employers, always employers. So I started looking into them, and one of them was the manager of a group called Master Marine in Bayou La Battery, and I interviewed him. And by the time I got there, I had spent 15 minutes on the internet. Now, these are lawyers saying what good folks the people in Mobile are, these employers. They love their brown brothers. These lawyers don't know to look into claims made. So turns out Master Marine in Bayou La Battery is owned by Sun Myung Moon and the Unification Church. And Sun Myung Moon personal wealth was $990 million. And Master Marine owns almost everything in Bayou La Battery. And their testimony was that, now this is in Mobile, this is within walking distance of Selma, the Black Belt, the predominantly the made poor, kept poor capital of the United States, and New Orleans, which has just experienced Katrina. Their testimony was that they were a mom and pop business close to the line. They could not have workers if they ever had to be idled for any reason. So they had to get guest workers. And see, this is a grift. It wasn't true. The advocacy groups didn't care enough to investigate these claims. These are the employers who were saying, you know, how, and the people in Huntsville were haters, you know, and it was a tense meeting. But I don't know if I'm making sense, or you see what my point is.
No, I do, and we're going to have to move on in a little bit here, but I think it's a testimony to, just because an organization is making some claims about its mission does not mean it's doing that.
Mhm.
Right.
And they haven't defined the mission, and they're not even putting the money. They may be putting money into a poverty palace, but are they actually putting money into investigators, people who are, you know, experienced journalists, for one thing? You don't even need lawyers for this, but you could bring in some journalists. You could bring in some forensic accountants that might be able to investigate this and look at where the rot is, I would say, so that real action can be taken rather than being professional do-gooders.
Yeah.
Who very seldom do any good.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna keep you for the rest of the show.
We really appreciate you joining us too, Ellin. This has been very fascinating. I'm hoping to continue this discussion, because I think we've hit on some stuff here that I think is has a broader.
I do a whole show, a whole special on it.
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't offer much in the way of, you know, are these charges legal or illegal, but I do have real world.
I'm a lawyer when I get pulled over for speeding.
I thought you were an aging porn star.
That's I use the aging porn star. Is it Laney or
no? It's Lauren, the aging porn star.
If the lawyer bit don't get me out of the ticket, and if it's somebody particular that might be keen for a little Saturday night action.
You have quite the resume, Uncle Warren.
Let's look. We got to talk about your show. You're on Tuesday. You do a live show on Tuesday nights. You want to talk about moving parts and your show on here?
Well, I think I already ran through the list of guests and all of that. But moving parts was somehow I just got interested. I felt like with immigration, I've said everything I have to say, and immigration and LGBT issues and women's issues, labor issues, all of these things overlap. And so I've just kind of gotten shifted into this whole realm of why children are saying they are trans and their families are going along with it. And I know some of these families, and I know some of these kids. And I think just my personal observation is that most of them have come from troubled families. I think some of them are just plain vanilla lesbian, and others are just unusual kids, you know. And so that led me into this sort of deeper dive. And I have just found out, I mean, there is footage of doctors at Vanderbilt Medical Center saying in a public forum how much money there is to be made in transitioning children. This is shocking to me. It is shocking. And you've got doctors, and the lawsuits are starting to come in. And recently a young woman sued her doctors, her plastic surgeon, and her psychologist for encouraging her to get a radical mastectomy. This is all the rage, these young girls. And her name is Fox Varian, and she sued the doctors and was awarded something like $250,000. I mean, who knows if she'll ever collect it? But I mean, but it had to do with, the fact that she could not consent. She's a child. She couldn't consent, and they will say, "Well, they consented." Well, they're not capable of consenting. So I think it had to do with fraud. So anyway, that's what I do with this show, and it's
on Tuesday nights. Do you have like a regular time? Or?
Yes, I always go on subject. Yes, Tuesday nights, 8:00 Eastern Time, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific, and we have guests on who have actually been affected.
Okay. Yeah, I've caught a few of your shows already too. So
yeah, and they're recorded. So if you can't stop by live, and I love it when people stop by live, but it's recorded, and they are on my YouTube channel, Ellin Jimmerson YouTube channel.
Yeah, we just put that in the chat for
Yeah,
everybody. Hopefully they got that. Yeah, we got more news to get to. So hang on. The ride's crazy. We've been talking about how SNAP benefits have been getting, screwy for people. So this is from Inform New York. Okay. So SNAP benefits won't pay for rotisserie chicken. A bipartisan bill might change that. So I guess this is out of D.C. So a bipartisan group of U.S. senators wants government food assistance programs to foot the bill for rotisserie chicken from the grocery store. The senators this week introduced what they're calling the Hot Rotisserie Chicken Act. That's where we are in 2026, folks. We got a Hot Rotisserie Chicken Act. We could be out there, cruising the cosmos, curing cancer, making spaceships. Nah, we're doing this bullshit Hot Rotisserie Chicken Act. All right, which would make the supermarket staple an eligible purchase under the SNAP program, formerly known as food stamps. So America's best and delicious affordability play is Costco's $4.99 rotisserie chicken, said Democratic Senator John Fetterman. He is a $4.99 rotisserie chicken. John Fetterman is. He is now. I don't know what the hell. He just turned into a bird. Every time I see his head, I think it's Thanksgiving. Who joined Republican Senator Jim Justice. That sounds like a made-up name. Of West Virginia. Hi, I'm Jim Justice, and I have to speak like this. And others in sponsoring the bill. It's one of my family's favorites, and I'm proud to join this bill with Senator Justice for all to try. SNAP funds would be well spent to feed our nation's families who need it. Let me get to the gist of it. Because I mean, hot foods, denying people hot food. Come on. That's just whatever.
And a chicken. It's chicken.
So
SNAP, low fat protein.
Yeah. No, and those rotisserie chickens are good too. Great spices on it. So SNAP is a major piece of the U.S. social safety net used by nearly 42 million people, or about 1 in 8 Americans, to help buy groceries. On average, the monthly benefit per household is about $350, and the average benefit per person is about $190. Yes, so they don't really give you too much for SNAP, and then they screw around with it like they've been doing.
Yeah. Protein.
So I guess this is a bill. I guess they're trying to vote on this to get hot food. Now, I lived in New York for a while, and that was the thing. You could go to bodegas, and if you knew the right people, they go ahead and hook it up for the hot food. But a lot of times, they would say, no, we can't do it. We got busted or whatever.
Yeah.
But that was the thing. It was like, food is food, right? Hot, cold, right? Are they trying to do the same thing like they're doing with the sody pop and all that bullshit?
Yeah, I've been covering this beat for a long time, and the reality is, as Chuck said, this is the cruelty is the point. We've talked about this before, Uncle Warren. This is an attempt to humiliate people. And when they make these restrictions. Now, here's the deal with the rotisserie chickens. Typically, the rotisserie chickens are chickens that they cook, the hot foods, or any hot prepared foods that you find at grocery stores. Typically, it's a food that's going to have to be pulled off the shelves anyways because it's getting near its expiration date. So it's an attempt to avoid food waste. And you create a hot meal that a person can pick up. It's convenient. And this just rankles some people, the idea that the poors are getting a hot meal rather than having to cook it from scratch. Oh my gosh, how dare you do this? Now, here's the deal.
Hot meals for the poor.
First of all, these foods are, again, they're food that was going to be tossed out anyways. It was getting near being tossed out. There are a whole lot of people out there who do not have a home to live in. So if something is already cooked and hot for them, they don't have to worry about it, and they can have a hot meal, have the dignity of a hot and often very nutritious. I've seen the food that they make in the grocery stores. These meals, they're usually balanced. You're going to get your starch, you get your protein, you get your vegetables. They put them all together. It's a very nice thing, and they can have that. There are people who do not have kitchens they don't have ovens. They may be living they may have roommates, maybe couch surfing. They don't have kitchen privileges, or they're living in a place that doesn't have utilities. They may be working from job to job. There are many people out there who are juggling, 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs, gig jobs or whatnot, being able to eat a nutritious meal on the fly. And again, also, when you use your SNAP benefits, remember that money goes right back to the store. The store gets it, and all their suppliers are getting that. So it goes right back into the economy. This is one bill that I would like to see. I would like to see the hot meals program continue. There have been various places around the country that have piloted or tested hot meals programs for people who are technically or who are homeless. I would like to see this expanded. Let people choose how they're going to spend their benefits. Let them select the foods that make sense for them and or their family and their own situation. That's all I'm saying. And that's why, Fetterman has managed to irk me greatly during his tenure. But yeah, this I would like to see. And the weird thing is, for example, where I live, it's illegal for somebody to buy hot foods, but they can buy that same meal or that same rotisserie chicken with SNAP once it is cold.
Yeah.
Again, it's the exact same meal. What they will do is they will take the meal and they will put it into a cold case, so it's cold, and then the person can buy it. It'll even have a sticker on it that said, can be purchased with SNAP.
Yeah.
This is a humiliation ritual. This is designed to crush people. This, by the way, is hatred. And I mean that absolutely here. This is hate. All right.
It causes division too.
It causes division. It's humiliation. And then the person has to take and either eat the meal cold, or they have to find a microwave or somebody who's willing to heat it. And it's never going to be as good.
No.
That way. And it's cruelty. And I find it disgusting.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think we need to really have a really serious conversation about what hate is.
Yeah, I think we do. And maybe that'll be a great special for us to work on together. We can have a talk about that on Facebook if you want, in Messenger.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely a tool that's used to control people and get them to bend their thinking in different ways. Yeah. It's like, you want somebody to lose their land next door. Just tell everybody in town, like, oh yeah, this guy's, a criminal and he's wanted by the law or something, and then they go through all this bull and the person's already been discredited, even though nothing was proven. And, that's how they do things these days. They gum up the works like that. So, kind of like a scam with the tariff refunds. Remember the tariffs? They're supposed to give refunds.
Yeah.
For the tariffs. This is fun. I knew this was going to happen too. Yeah, consumers likely not cashing in on tariff refunds. See, because what happened was they paid the tariffs, but then they passed the savings in quotes. The savings being the you get to pay the tariff. So the customers have already paid this, and now these refunds are coming back. These should be going out to the consumers, one would think, right? So, but let's read a little bit of this and see what's going on here. Retailers big and small are tapping a tariff refund portal in a quest to recoup $166 billion, yikes, in tariff costs, but the recoup funds aren't likely to trickle down to consumers. Of course not. Consumers get that money? Shit. As my Puerto Rican friends like to say, you stupid, Poppy. You so stupid. Why you think that? You stupid. Consumers get that money. Poppy, you should stop your day drinking. The big exception are Costco shoppers, as the wholesaler has promised to pass savings to customers. Look at Costco. They pay their people. They said, "Look, we're not going to screw around with you. We're giving them money." And meanwhile, like Target and all these other places, like, no, mine, the precious. So big retail winners in the refund effort will likely include Gap. Do people still go to Gap? Really? Home Depot, Target, Walmart, Lowe's, and Kohl's. Retailer can keep the recoup funds or share with customers. That part. Share with customers.
That's a knee slapper. Yeah.
They got some jokes in this story. It's evening at the Improv. So retailer can keep the recoup funds or share. None besides Costco, according to the Times report, have detailed what they'll do with the recoup funds. And we all know what they're going to do with it. Let me open up mine pocket and stick it in there. More for me, sir. Thank you. Thank you. So importers and customers reportedly paid 96% of the tariffs, according to a report from the German Keil Institute. Keil! Sorry.
Yep.
It's my white reaction to this thing. It's like Dr. Strangelove gonna keep the arm down. For the world economy. So the yeah, you got those references. Yay. The Trump administration tariffs were projected to amount to an average tax increase per U.S. household of $1,300 this year, according to data from the Tax Foundation organization. Where my check? Let's put it back. Give us our checks. Is Trump going to give us checks? You think? Nah, he might though, because he really wants those midterms to go his way, and I don't think
because he's a giver.
He is a giver.
He gives.
He does.
Big-hearted.
That's why a lot of us have to wear hip boots when we're listening to him, because he gives so much. So the launch of the tariff refund portal is an important step, but it's not a broad reset. The direct benefit goes to importers of record, not consumers, and even eligible claims will still take time to process, said this guy. I'm not going to butcher his name. Shared in an email interview for retailers and supply chains. He's the CEO of Locus. You can do the math there. For retailers and supply chain teams, the bigger value is reduced uncertainty. The ruling is now being operationalized, which should help improve confidence in pricing, sourcing, blah, 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 corporate gibberish. That said, refunds will not undo the volatility created by. So anyway, basically, these companies are going to get these refunds. But you, me, no. Oh, you sweet summer child. That will never happen. Poof, I say to thee, my magic wand of disbelief. Oh, wait, I got an actual thing back here. Poof, I got a stick.
Oh, a thing.
I always keep a stick near me just in case danger is near. Yeah.
Do you carry a big stick?
I have to. Chirac.
True. Is that a genetic thing?
These Chicago rats be huge around here. You need some weapons.
You want to see a huge Chicago rat? Go behind an Ann Sather's, because they make these huge cinnamon rolls and they throw them out, at the end of the day when they can't sell them. And I was once behind an Ann Sather at night, and the size of the rats were the size of small dogs. I have never seen, I mean, this was clearly prime spot for, it was absolutely prime spot for the rats in that community. They were nomming on those cinnamon rolls, and man, oh man, did they need the GLPs. I gotta tell you, I've never seen animals like that.
Oh my goodness.
They had them in New York. They had them in New York, though. During the summertime, they were the worst too. They'd be chasing cats down the street. Man, like, what's,
oh yeah. I just, you know, you can't. I mean, I like most animals, but those rats, man, I was not gonna.
Well, speaking of food, do you know about surveillance pricing for groceries?
Yeah, I do.
That's a more creepy way of shopping, I think. So Maryland becomes the first U.S. state to ban surveillance pricing for groceries. So what is all this about? Maryland will become the first U.S. state to outlaw surveillance pricing for groceries after Democratic Governor Wes Moore signed a bill on Monday barring retailers and food delivery services from using customers' personal data to alter prices. Oh, this is intriguing. I did not know about that part of it. The practice has already become rampant in online commerce, with companies like Amazon, Uber, and Delta Airlines accused of using everything from browsing history and location to demographic information to squeeze every possible cent from consumers. Now, I did hear about, I don't know if it was Humor. It was Humor. It was the new one. If Uber did this or not, but depending on what kind of card you use, like if you use like a I don't know what it is, like big, not like a
gold card,
like a gold card or something
American
like that,
Express,
right? As opposed
card,
to like a debit card or something like that. They would charge you more if you had a certain kind of card. Like if you had a Visa, like they would charge you more. They're like the fee would be more. I thought that was interesting. Like, oh, really? So
something to look into.
I think, is it what's the blue card? What is that? Is that American Express? Is that the card? Is that, or is that the?
That one's green. The regular one is green. Right.
So I can't remember. I can't think if one of those was like, if you use that for Uber, it would have been cheaper. So anyway, so that's part of the practice they're talking about, like that in that respect. The Protection from Predatory Pricing Act, which takes effect in Maryland beginning in October, targets the growing use of such tactics by grocery chains and delivery apps, which Moore has accused of using new technologies to drive up the bill for working families. Yeah, I know, right? The cost always goes back to us. These include electronic shelf labels, which advocates have warned could allow companies to instantly change grocery prices based on the time of day, weather, and other factors that influence consumer demand too. And the way those things work, I've used those things before, the electronic shelf labels. So all you have to do is if you have all of those barcodes and stuff from that shelf already in the computer, yeah, all you have to do is you could just change a price, or not even have, you don't even have to do it manually. You could set up some sort of system where it changes the prices during different times of the day.
And by the way, they look like paper shelf labels at the you know, depending on the
store.
Some of
them do, yeah.
They really, it's very hard, you know, if you're just looking at the shelf, to tell the difference.
Yeah. And they're all like Wi-Fi too. So it's just like each one they can individually. Yeah, it's crazy the way they can do that stuff. The digital price tags are replacing paper ones. But that's been in the works for quite some time for to save paper, because you put up these labels, and then you got to take down the labels, and then that's probably part of the reasoning. But really, it's more for, we can change the price on you super quick. What do we got here? So now you can't do that. You can't do this. That was the thing. I never even knew that surveillance pricing was a thing, because when I worked at Whole Foods, I mean, we had the electronic shelf tags, but it was always something, we had set prices that every Wednesday that we, set it to, but it was kind of like Ron Popeil. It was set it and forget it. Yeah, unless there was like something that came down, though, this information was wrong, that sort of thing. You get an email saying you need to, this price needs to be this, you know, and that sort of thing. But other than that, that was, you know, I didn't know it was like this, you know, in real time kind of price change. That's a little scary because they do that. They do that at fast food joints too, right? Like at some fast food joints, like a certain time of day, the prices will go up and down.
They will. I've heard about that. Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy. I blame Ellin though. She's the boss lady. She does everything. She's the mastermind. She's behind the scenes.
Always thinking how to get more money. More money.
I know, right?
I know. More money, more power. Love that. Well, money and power.
Well, one way not to do that is to steal from Taylor Swift, ladies, and certain gentlemen. Taylor Swift files to trademark her voice likeness to ward off AI deepfakes. So here, this is where we're coming from. This is where I was seeing stuff like two things. One, video and audio is going to be severely challenged in courts now. Oh, this is AI. This ain't real. And then they'll have to take time to find out if the video is real or not. And now you're going to have these people like this. This happened back like in the early 2000s when people were sampling, right? They say, oh, this is stealing. And now people are just straight up like stealing their voice.
Yeah.
Like copying their voice patterns and then getting them to sing or say whatever, right? So, and then I guess she said, enough of that. No one's taking my bread, dude. I don't know if she says dude. She may say bro. I think women who say bro, that's just, I don't know. That's just a thing with me. But anyway, so pop superstar Taylor Swift filed trademark applications for 2 audio clips and 1 image of herself in what a trademark attorney said is an attempt to protect her voice and likeness from deep fake videos and audio created by artificial intelligence. Now, everybody and their mom has access to these kind of video generating, audio generating things. So it's like, you know, this may be the the cat is out of the bag kind of thing. The applications were filed with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office Friday and lists Swift's TAS rights management as being the owner of the audio clips and image. A spokesperson for Swift did not immediately respond to a request for comment, nor did lawyers who were listed on the filings. In one of the audio clips, Swift is heard saying, "Hey, it's Taylor Swift, and you can listen to my new album, The Life of a Showgirl." Hey, wait a minute. That's the name of my new album. On demand at Amazon Music Unlimited. Bitch, taking my shit. The second clip says, "Hey, it's Taylor. My brand new album, The Life of a Showgirl, is out on October 3rd, and you can click to pre-save it so you can listen to it on Spotify." I know you ladies have already bought this album to add to your growing collection.
Pre-saved the album.
You pre-saved it to your growing catalog that you celebrate on the regular. The image Swift is seeking to trademark is her on stage in a sequined outfit, pink guitar in hand. Is that AI? I can't tell. I can't tell anymore. I'm getting to the point where I have to wear those.
I'm more interested in the green dress at the beginning. That color. Goodness.
She is just saucy, just like a bisque. I don't know if bisque is saucy. It's kind of a thing. So it's her on stage.
I don't know about those earrings with that lip color, though.
I know, right? And this
what was her stylist thinking?
It's way off. Somebody
was on break. That person no longer works with the company. I mean, with the singer. So actor Matthew McConaughey has had similar filings approved. He told the Wall Street Journal in January that we want to create a clear perimeter around ownership with consent and attribution. The norm is an AI world. Everything's a world. It's like stars are everywhere, man. Sorry, that's my Matthew McConaughey. Poor impression.
Yeah.
So I know, as the crickets in the background can attest to. So this guy says that registering a celebrity's spoken voice is a new use of trademark registration that has not been tested in courts. It is now. Historically, singers relied on copyright law to protect their recorded music, but with AI technologies now allow users to generate entirely new content that mimics an artist's voice without copying an existing recording, creating a gap that trademarks may help fill. Yes, it's the brand new stuff that they make. It's kind of like they take that old 58 Ford of yours, right, and they just melt her down, and they take that metal, make a new chassis, and they do something, you know, and they just make something totally new out of it, but out of the same parts and pieces. Come on, that's like, they call that hacking, isn't it? And that like an IKEA hack where you just buy like two couches and you can make like a kitchenette out of it or some shit. You know what I mean? But that sounds like it's what they're doing. They're taking it and they're taking these people's voices and they're hacking it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole AI thing. The little thing I put together, the little reel to explain the origin of sex for my show, it lasts a minute. And I used AI generated art because you've got to have something. And it was so much fun. And I felt terribly guilty.
Playing in the devil's sandbox is what you're doing, Miss Ellin. Miss Ellin, you playing in the devil's sandbox, and you got sand all over you, and that might be a cat turd over there. I don't know, but I'm just saying.
But you know, artists throughout time, you know, they'll call it, this is so-and-so's painting after somebody else. So
like an homage. It's
in the style of, and it references, but it's a new piece of art.
It's a reboot.
It's a reboot. Thank you.
It's a reboot.
I don't know about stealing somebody's voice though and saying,
so
it needs to be obvious. It needs to be obvious, I think.
There was recently a video that had various British actors. It's supposed to be a trailer for some kind of film. It was obviously a parody, but they had Judi Dench as Keir Starmer at the end, which was absolutely hilarious. But I mean, it was also kind of creepy watching this, and I can't imagine being an actor and then suddenly seeing yourself like that. And again, it was parody, so that in terms of trademark law and that sort of thing, that gets into muddy waters. But I can understand though, okay, you're somebody, you can't afford to hire Patrick Stewart or Judi Dench or Jude Law or whoever, but by gum, you can do an AI setup and create something that's kind of weird. And that's uncharted territory.
But, you know, I thought about that. I actually was starting, a new documentary, and it was going to be in the style of a spaghetti Western.
Mm-hmm.
And then after going to the border, I realized I didn't have the money for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought after I learned about AI, I know who the cast of characters would be.
Mm-hmm.
Just generate it. What?
Come to the dark side, Ellin.
I know.
It's so warm over here, the flames.
Pull me back because I cannot afford to make that spaghetti Western in the Sonora Desert and draw those comparisons.
See, there's the rub. That's exactly the rub you're talking about. It's like, I know a lot of creators who have like little to no funds to do stuff like that, but something like they need an image of something and poof, here it is. And it's like they could have paid like a friend to do it, or a friend could have done it, and maybe the friend is going to take like 2 or 3 months to do it if it's very detailed or something. And then here you got it all poof. The magic computer said, here you go, boss man, it's for you. That you don't have to wait on the human.
And you don't have to pay your photographer, the cinematographers they did for the second cooler $1,000 a day.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. And I did it once, but I can't do it again.
I know, it's like
But I
crack.
can sit behind
You
my
want to, though.
computer.
You want to go back, though, don't you? You want to taste that goodness,
I wanna
that
ta-
AI
yeah.
goodness. So here's the thing, right? If you can have personal, like, in-house AI that's not like, drinking up all the water in the river and, like, causing a big giant data center outside your place. You can have
Yeah.
those things. That's these giant ones, like these big giant corporate ones, like your open AI and stuff like that uses up all these resources, and they're the ones who charge you too. You can't use that. You can only use that stuff for free for so long before they're like, just
And
like
we're actually
crack.
getting to the point where, again, in creative industries, it will be those that have a lot of money that are able to have human created art and writing and whatnot. And those that don't have a lot of money will be relying on AI or AI created clip art or that sort of thing. So it's going to be another indicator of separation by class.
Yeah, and before people that would say, "Oh well, it's just that you just don't have the talent to do it. You should just get somebody who's talented to do it." Even if you can afford to do it, you may be time pressed for something, and you need an image like right away or something. Like there may have been a change or something, and that artist or something may not be available, or you may have to wait a while. Whereas the AI will go ahead and create it. Maybe after a few prompt changes here and there as you go along, you'll get what you want. That's how they make those movies that look so real.
Yeah.
And they'll put in a prompt, they'll type it in like, okay, this is Bigfoot on a golf cart going through the woods, and boom, there it is, and it's all kind of messed up. And then they put in, no, he has to be wearing pants, blah 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 blah, blah, whatever. And then all of a sudden you got this beautiful, like, holy shit, it doesn't look like AI, but it's a new world we're going into with this kind of stuff.
I looked into when I realized I couldn't do the shooting on that, and of course this documentary is never going to happen, but I thought, well, I'll hire a cartoonist, and a cartoonist can do it. So I went to Savannah School of Design and looked into it. It was like $1,000 a day for a cinematographer versus $1,000 a minute for a cartoonist.
Yeah, they ain't cheap, and that's the thing. It's like
you get anywhere with my brilliant idea.
And then it's like that's the thing. It's like what you got to pay them what they're worth, right? And if you don't have the bones to do that right away. Now, it may be something where it's like you start off with a partner or something who may be like, like a animator or something like that. And you say, okay, the deal is once we start making money, we'll split it 50-50, that kind of thing. But, you're just starting out and you're trying to get some images or like a little bit of video or something that all you have to do is just tippy, tap, 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 tap. And you can get it. Whereas you got to pay $1,000 a day or a minute or something like that. I wonder what's going to happen. Uh-oh, we're having trouble streaming.
Yes, yes, but you can all switch over to my Facebook account. If you're on Facebook, you can go to Lainey Peterson. And I've actually I'll put this out there. If you were on Extra Bulla on Facebook, you can go over to my account, which you should be able to find.
Well, let's go ahead and move on. We just really have one really war kind of story for today for the Man of War story, but it has something to do with AI, what we were just talking about. King of Segway. Bingo. We know how to do it. So 600 plus workers protest as Google signs $200 million secret Pentagon AI warfare deal. Yikes. Yes, they're like, bad, no, arg. As Google on Monday became the latest player in the AI arms race to sign a classified deal with the U.S. Department of Defense, hundreds of workers at the Silicon Valley giant demanded that its CEO prevent the Pentagon from using the company's AI models for covert work. Oh, like black ops with money that they like, oh, we don't know how much they spent. Psh, we don't need to know that. Reuters reported that the $200 million agreement includes safety filters and allows the Pentagon to use Google's AI for any lawful purpose. You notice that's in quotes, but not for the development of lethal autonomous weapon systems, commonly known as killer robots, or domestic surveillance without human oversight and control. And then they literally had one person look in the camera and go, wink, 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 wink. And that person bruised their eye from winking so hard. According to the information's Aaron Wu, sorry, that was very insensitive. The deal does not give Google any right to control or veto lawful government operational decision making. Oh, really? The agreement also reportedly requires Google to adjust its AI safety settings at the government's request. We're proud to be part of a brand consortium of leading AI labs and technology and cloud companies providing AI services and infrastructure in support of national security. Take a drink! Security. A Google spokesperson told the information. So more than 600 Google employees, many of them from the company's DeepMind AI laboratory, sent a letter Monday to CEO Sundar Pichai, demanding that he block the U.S. military from using the firm's artificial intelligence technology for classified projects. Who's that other AI company was doing that? That said, no, we don't want you to have access to everything. We want to see AI benefit humanity. Yeah, right. They're so cute when they're little. I love it when they say stuff like that. We want to see AI benefit humanity and moonbeams and rainbows and chocolate shit and everything. Not to see it being used in inhumane or extremely killer robot harmful ways, the letter says, according to the Washington Post. This includes lethal autonomous weapons and murder dogs. No, and mass surveillance, but extends beyond. I'm assuming that includes murder dogs too. You keep your murder hounds at bay, lad. The only way to guarantee that Google does not become associated with such harms is to reject any classified workloads the workers stress. So yeah, this is like another Anthropic thing. They're like, nah, we don't. We'll sign this deal, but we're gonna still have our killer dogs. I guess. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about AI and warfare in general? And that like a little bit like pretty cold-blooded, isn't it?
Yeah. Decision making is obviously very disturbing. And there's been some reporting on that. But I see it probably where it's going to be far more insidious is as a propaganda tool. That's where I see it being. I mean, I am very concerned about the fact that some models have initially shown a greater inclination to nuclear options. I mean that very literally. But I'm concerned about the propaganda. And to see how it can be used.
When you say nuclear, you don't necessarily have to have like big giant mushroom clouds. You could talk about like dirty bombs or like tactical nukes, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well,
or even EMPs.
I'm going to be a bit of a pain in the ass here, but when you're talking about dirty bomb, that's actually not nuclear. That's radiological. When we hear nuclear, that refers to a detonation. How the detonation takes place. Radiological refers to the dispersal or the use of radiation. Dirty bomb does not use a nuclear detonation. It uses a conventional explosive, right. But the material goes all over the place. It's actually quite interesting. It's kind of a thing that I'm nerding about. But yes, I mean that it can be all kinds of things. It could be an EMP weapon, which does not, they can use an EMP weapon. There are tons of things that they could be doing. But again, my real concern is its use in propaganda and confusing the psyche of the population. Yes, Ned, we agree. Sorry, Ned is offering his opinion on my inadequacies as a human caretaker.
All opinions are welcome here on the dais. Any thoughts on that, Ellen, about the music. Because I mean, yeah, like different kinds of nukes. It's really, because when people hear nukes, like people Gen X and above are like, you know, we're thinking the day after and chasing robots is going to come to our house and that kind of thing. But really, it could mean like, you know, yeah, just like dirty bomb weapons that aren't nuclear, but they have the
They do the
radioactive
radiation, and
the radioac-
radiation messes with people's psyches like you would not believe because
yeah,
you can't see it. You can't
yeah, it
smell it. You
blows
can't
that
see it.
material everywhere, and
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
you can't really escape it. It's hard to, you know, you have to. The stuff that I learned, for example, I learned that if you're ever exposed to a radiological incident, there's a dirty bomb or something like that, and you've got some radiation on you, the protocol is, you know, you go home, you get into the shower, you wash yourself with soap and water, but you don't scrub it because the dead skin layer actually is protecting you against some of that radiation. You are supposed to shampoo your hair, but don't condition it because the conditioner will hold and bind the radiation to your hair. I mean, the stuff that I was learning in all this was just like, whoa. And you know, they were also talking about if you have a mass incident, they bring out water decontamination units. The problem with that is that the water comes off your body and it will go into the gutters and just starts dispersing everywhere. And the radiation it will die naturally, decay naturally, but washing it doesn't dilute it or anything like that. So the stuff that I learned was just some of the grimmest stuff I've ever learned in my life when I was
crazy.
undergoing that training.
well, I'd be
Seems
screwed
like-
because I have to have bounce in my hair. I don't care if it's the apocalypse or what not.
Yeah. How much are we supposed to give up?
What are we, animals? Were we gonna go live back in the caves? Is that what you want, lady? You want us to go live back in the caves?
Well, it almost seems like one thing might be to stop having wars.
Oh, peace, Nick. I know. Right,
I'm
don't
just
you-
spitballing here.
Yeah,
I'm just-
yeah. I mean,
people like
well,
that,
everybody's
though.
going
They're
on.
like,
You know, we don't.
peace.
They're saying, well, yes. I was listening today. It was some diplomat from the UK saying we all agree that Iran should not have nuclear weapons. Well, we could say that for the UK. We could say that for the US, which, as I like to remind people, is the only nation thus far that has used nuclear weapons in warfare. That was us.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
1-0, baby.
And it's like I
2-0,
can't, you know,
actually.
I'm not going to wag my finger at Iran when we still have them. The UK still has its submarines and its letter of last resort that instructs, you know, the Navy or what's left of the Royal Navy in case London and the UK is wiped out. There, you know, Pakistan, India, France. I mean, there are a lot of countries that have nuclear weapons,
Yeah.
and the one with the really bad track record is us.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
are the baddies, as the meme goes.
But it's so unpatriotic to say that.
I know, right? What's wrong with you not going along with the propaganda you've been served your entire life? Which leads us, we were running way late, so I'm gonna go ahead and get to the finally,
Yeah.
because
I actually need to leave. Can I?
All right, Ellen, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate this.
Thank you. I've had a great time, and we'll text about hate.
Yeah, I think we should. I think it's an interesting thing that we got brought up.
Okay.
and you've fulfilled your community service. We'll be sure to inform your judge and your attorney. Make sure to sign the sheet on the way out.
I
and
will.
no-
Yes, and I
No
appreciate
fake
that.
names.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
IP freely. No Seymour butts. We don't want to see any of that. We want just a straight thing. Again, tell everybody about your show on Tuesdays.
It's
Moving Parts.
moving parts, why children become trans, and it's a deep dive into this cultural phenomenon with people who have actually been involved in it. It's every Tuesday evening, 8:00 Eastern Time, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. And the co-host is Morgan Blythe. And that's it. Yeah. Come on.
Let me put this up here again. And Morgan, what does Morgan do? Is she an
She
advocate?
No, she
Oh.
really doesn't. She has not been involved in the issue at all. She's just interested.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right.
And she's on 2 other podcasts, so she's not afraid of the mic and the camera and all of that.
I know you run a tight ship over there, so I want to see what kind of people you got working over there. No, she seems all right. So that's on Tuesday nights on YouTube, on your YouTube channel that we just
YouTube, and it live streams. So they tell me on Facebook. I have never been able to jump over and see that for a fact certain, but yeah.
The legend of the Facebook pod.
Yeah, it's a legend, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. You should put people on like a scavenger hunt or something.
I know. I keep thinking about
that. The YouTube one's super easy. The Facebook one, it's going to take you a few minutes to get there. So, all right, Ellen, it's good to see you. We will talk
to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Always a pleasure to have that young lady on the show. Well,
absolutely.
But still, you know what I'm saying? So everybody's got to have an official cryptid in their state, Lainey. What's the Arkansas cryptid down there? Do you know? The Bugaloo tiger, the Shumawa hairbat, or okay. You don't have to know. This is not on the SATs this time, but maybe next time. So anyway, in Ohio, you got the Mothman in West Virginia, but now there's a bill introduced to name the Loveland Frogman as Ohio's official cryptid. Where's the video? It doesn't show him, so I don't know why. It's just a picture of a frog. So a bill introduced in the Ohio House would designate the Loveland Frogman as the state's official cryptid. A bill sponsored by Representatives Tristan Rader and Gene Schmidt, bipartisan Republican Democrat. Yay, when it actually works.
Yeah, rotisserie chickens.
Yeah, I know, right? That's next on the menu.
Well, they say that frogs taste like chicken, so
stop it. I've had frog legs. It tastes like frog ass.
I like frog legs. I've had them. I like them.
The ones I had, you would not have liked.
That may have been because you were.
At the wrong place. Well, we were at a buffet that was like all you could eat for $15, but they had like steak and like alligator tail and stuff like that. Some of the other stuff was good, but they missed the mark on the frog legs.
Yeah, okay.
So this bill is about showcasing our community, said Rader in a news release. The Loveland Frog is uniquely Ohio. It reflects the stories we tell, the places we're proud of, and the creativity that makes our state worth celebrating. And it makes you forget that it's Ohio. A House Bill 821 describes the Loveland Frogman as a frog-like bipedal creature standing approximately 4 feet tall. The legend dates back to 1972 when two police officers reported spotting a large frog-like creature on different nights. Different nights they were drinking too. Same booze. I believe it was Everclear. And I'll tell you another thing. I saw that frog, man. He was huge. It's like this tall, bro. The Frogman made headlines again in 2016 when a couple claimed to have seen the massive amphibian while playing Pokemon Go. I don't think that was one of the Pokemons. It could have been. Hope you got some double points, or I don't know how that shit works. The sighting prompted Mark Matthews, who purports to be one of the police officers who spotted the Frogman in 1972, to come forward with the whole stinking story. Matthews said the first officer to spot the Frogman, Ray Shockey, told him he saw the creature near the Totes Boot Factory and the Little Miami River. Totes. Matthews said he was skeptical of the story, but a few days later he was driving in the same area when he saw something run over the road. He ended up shooting the creature and putting it in his trunk, as one is wont to do in that part of the country. To show Shockey, who confirmed it was the same animal he had seen. The animal was 3 to 3.5 feet long, iguana that was missing its tail. Yikes. The big hoax, Matthews told WCPO TV. There's a logical explanation for everything. Is there really, though? Regardless of whether the legendary Frogman was a hoax, Its cultural footprint in Loveland has grown over the decades. The Frogman serves as the logo for popular coffee shop Mile 42 and inspired a found footage horror film called Frogman in 2023. I want to become a cryptid for Chicago myself. I want to be a cryptid. I want to dress up in like some sort of like woolly outfit and just sneeze at people. And that would be my thing. I'd be like the sneezer. Yeah,
The sneezer?
cat don't like the cat don't
No,
like
cat
that.
does not like that at all.
Sneeze, the cat was
on?
like, "You are gonna sneeze on people in some sort of woolly ass outfit. Are you stupid?" That's what that cat's saying to me right now. So, and your cat is absolutely right.
Yeah, he objects to all of this.
I object to that too, and I was the one telling that freaking story. Yeah. So hey, we actually made it through. Knock on wood. With no things. I know. Well, yeah, I know. It's right across because it's right across the Ohio River. They used to set on fire. Remember that? They had all kinds of chemicals and stuff, the Ohio River, and they should like light on fire.
Oh yeah.
The 70s and your environmental protection. What's this environmental protection? If you're not lighting your rivers on fire, then you're not a capitalist. What's wrong with you? I got nothing. That was fun. I hope I didn't scare Ellin too much.
I don't think you did. I don't think that was a good show. And I really enjoyed talking with her, getting different perspectives. I want to remind folks, if you are watching this on anything other than the Undercurrent channel on YouTube, would you take a moment and subscribe to our Undercurrent channel? We're trying to get up to 100. We're going to do some kind of a special show when that happens, because we are trying to grow that channel. I'm going to put up our link tree right now. You can actually connect directly from there to our channel on YouTube. We would really appreciate that. And we appreciate everybody who comes out and supports the show.
Lainey said if we get to 100 subscribers, she's going to get me a pony. I want a pony. I want that pony.
I'll get you a pony.
Come on, ride that donkey,
crop, and
donkey.
I'll make you my pony, Uncle Warren.
Stop it. Yeah, we didn't have I didn't have any of my shows last week because I wasn't feeling up to it. But I think we'll probably do that again this week. Friday morning morning extra, and then secret show Friday night, and then back here next Wednesday, I believe, unless I sneak up on somebody and scare them in the night, like they're having night terrors. I like to do that. Sometimes I just like to sneak into random people's houses and just perch on the edge of the bed and make them think they have sleep paralysis. Be like sitting there like this, like you. What do you want for breakfast? Do you like pancakes? I can make you pancakes. They run away. All you see is this silhouette, and then this human-shaped hole in the wall that bursts through it like Kool-Aid.
Try explaining that to your insurance adjuster. Yeah,
or your therapist, who may be both. If you're trying to cut costs these days.
Well, insurers, they decided they're doctors. They can make all kinds of medical decisions. So there you go.
You might as well have one for the nut house too, right? That's what I'm saying. Say. That's what I'm saying. These guys and their things and the lawyer stuff. Yeah, that's it for us, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for everybody that in the chat. And if you're watching this later, we're doing this on YouTube, on a few channels on YouTube today, and on Rumble and Facebook, maybe on Facebook and Substack. We're gonna get back on Instagram. What do we gotta do? Get you 1 million subscribers?
We gotta get me up to 1,000. If we can get more people who are just willing to go on into Instagram and follow me on Instagram, you're mostly gonna find is food, wine, my various travels and that sort of thing. I'll put this up right now. If you could do so, just follow me there. It would be much appreciated because then I can get it back on. We didn't have a huge number of viewers on Instagram, but what happens is it would go live and it would get people, remind people that the show was happening and that they could go ahead and stream it. But now they've changed it that you have to be live. You have to have 1,000 followers.
And thank you, Mystery.
And thank you, Mystery. Much appreciated. I love your input, the things that you share.
Yeah, we got a pretty good community here, some pretty smart people, and good conversations with them as well. Good. So I guess that's it. We'll get out of here if I find the right things here. Okay. Take care, everybody. We'll see you here next week, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time on all those wonderful channels we told you about. Take care of yourselves. Life is crazy, but so are we. And we'll bring you the news you can use. Peace out, everybody. See you later.